right now we got a lot of senseless murders and shootings and all type of things happening around the world right now. I don't know how things can actually change. All I know is that we're seeing a lot of people crash out today and they're going to jail for long periods of time, getting football numbers, numbers that's unheard of. Numbers that got people talking about, yo, man, free my boy Rob, free my boy Skirt, skeet, skeet. I'm just saying, it's not a joke, but at the end of the day, that's what it's come down to. People getting locked up, and then next thing you know, people sitting up there trying to figure out why it is that a lot of people sitting up there in prison rotting away. This is one of the reasons why right here.
An argument, according to police, led to a deadly shooting in Northeast Philadelphia. Tonight, we are seeing the moments that led up to this shooting and learning more about the victim. Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson covering the story live for us now at police headquarters with the latest on the investigation. Becca.
Shari, that victim is 35-year-old Vizwani Brown, and sources tell me the victim and the shooter knew each other. They started arguing inside of that corner store. They took it outside, and that's where it turned deadly. In front of surveillance cameras, a shooter pulls out a gun and fires through this car's passenger door and window. The victim is in the driver's seat. This as more cars drive by. The shooter then runs away. It happened just after 7 Wednesday night in front of this corner store on Summerdale McGee Avenues in Northeast Philadelphia.
Yo estaba regresando del gimnasio.
The store's owner, Jose Espinal, was coming back to work and came upon the shooter and victim, who police identified as 35-year-old Vizwani Brown, arguing.
Que no, que la vida es muy buena.
He says he tried to tell them life is good and attempted to defuse the argument before walking into his store. But the violence escalated outside and the suspect pulled out his gun.
The shooter walks up to the passenger side and fires at least 3 shots through the passenger side door window and door.
Police were on the scene within 5 minutes and found the victim.
He was conscious. Police picked him up, rushed him to Jefferson Tarsdale Hospital, where doctors worked on him. He was pronounced dead.
Police were back on the scene Thursday, canvassing the neighborhood.
Yo conocía a la víctima.
Espinal says he knew Brown. He was a father who lived in the neighborhood. And
Yo, this just goes to show you, man, all the senseless banter that goes back and forth. And I see it happening with men and women. A lot of cities today is on high alert. One of the reasons why it's on high alert is because when you look at how everything is happening right now in today's environment, everybody's on edge. Not only people on edge, but people struggling bad. And people struggling at a point where as though they can't even figure life out to get their next step, to try to be like, yo, I want better. And a lot of times, and I know this for a fact, just because I made it out of the hood, don't mean everybody can make it out. Because one time I realized that I had to reevaluate the way I think. It's easy to talk down on people and say, yo, if I got out, you can get out. That's not how life works. Life don't work that way. Life don't work in a way that make you say to yourself, wait a minute, if I made it out, you should make it out. No, that's not how it goes. It's not how it goes. It just doesn't play out that way. It don't play out that way because everybody don't have the same obstacles, the same chances. Some people born into an environment where as though their family members is big time hustlers. Their moms are big shysters, like they just slick. You got moms that's running the streets, running game on dudes, and they don't know any other way to how to think because they so entrenched into the environment to the point all they think is street. And you realize today, the way you think is the way you're going to be able to operate through life because the way you think structures how you're going to move about life. People don't just move around here and operate from a sense of I can do whatever I want. When you think that way, you're going to become reckless. The most reckless people think they can't be touched. This is why when we in an environment when people continuously create chaos in the hood by killing, robberies, you know what I mean, doing all type of stuff, and don't nobody say nothing. They turn a blind eye. I ain't snitching. The no snitching rule done got a lot of people in here in this environment thinking it's cool to move around doing what they doing because they feel as though everything is off of a street code that don't make sense. It never did make sense. People don't even uphold the street code. Let's be honest. People do not uphold the street code. They don't uphold the street code because there's no real street code. We call it a real street code, but it's really not. You know why you know it's not? When you see more and more people snitching and telling on each other, it just goes to show you that that's part of the street life. People are always talking about, you know what I mean? I never snitch. I never, well, you never been dealt with street football numbers neither. Everybody always have something to say when they not in that position. And then you look at a person like Alpo from New York that got unalived, what, 3, 4 years ago? This dude snitched on a lot of people, but he also was a stone cold murderer. Also was moving drugs against different states. He also was somebody that can fight. He also was somebody that'll take your girl. He also was somebody that will set you up. And he also was somebody that will actually carry the act out himself. See, people have one of those mentalities sometimes where as though they have selective memory. Selective memory will have people feeling like, well, this person get a pass. How they get a pass? They got a pass because you know damn well that they're not somebody you want to play with. Everybody is not the person you think they are until you approach them and realize, oh man, I'm playing around with the wrong person. See, people got this whole thing though. When people operate a certain way, you think you can do whatever you want to them until you go up against people that don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. They're gonna do whatever they want. But the problem is, for people like that that'll do whatever they want, if you step in that way, they're going to take you out. You will get executed. And the other big problem is you think you tough till you go up against somebody that's tough. We watched a killing that just happened up in Northeast Philly. No different than any other areas. Mississippi, Georgia, California, Indiana, all these different places that got a bad area where people carry crimes out. It does not matter. It does not matter. It doesn't matter for the simple fact of when you get to a certain point in your life and you realize all the dumb ish that you grew up on, you have to re-unlearn. You have to get away from it because it will suck you in. We're at a point now where it's though people love to see people downfall, but people also like to see people gangster until all of a sudden that gangster lose their life and they say he was a real one. What does that mean? I know what it means, but what does it really mean? It means nothing. Nothing. You just ashes, an old memory that people will probably bring up for the next 5 to 6, maybe even 10 years. And if your name didn't ring bells far in the streets, and then you will be forgotten about in several years. In most cases, let's be honest, we don't hear about most crazy people because they're forgotten about after a year. You get no reward, none. Damn. Y'all be safe out here.